In today's video, I'm going to be giving my final review of the red cards from Forbidden. Okay, so let's get started, and as I'm sure a lot of you already know, I already did a set review for Forbidden, but that was a lot more of the first impressions. We didn't have the set out yet, and I was wrong about a reasonable number of cards. Not so much in red, but in other colours, like yellow, I was pretty off base. And even still, there were cards here that I underrated. So I'm basically going to be, 1, correcting all my mistakes here, and 2, I'm going to be providing my final opinions on the set. And these, whilst they are technically still subject to change because we are going to be getting more cards on the 13th, and so those legendaries I talk about when we come to the generic video or the Wildlands video, perhaps I could still be wrong on. Generally speaking, I think I have a good grasp of the format here, so hopefully I will be able to provide you with some reasonably intelligent commentary and not just send you off in the wrong direction. So with that all being said, let's finally get started on the cards. So first we have Fury, the Reddened Wizard, and this is the rare spell chain. So we can go here and we can find the spell chain. So here we have the first spell. So this is Fury Spells, entry 1 creation. It is an Arcana, and 1 token golem enters your field, and the rest state then banish this card and add 1 Fury Spell entry. This is actually very good. I underrated this level 1. Because obviously if this is the base menu open, then you get a 1/1 on board and it adds the level 2 spell to hand, setting you up for next turn. So as a first turn play, this is perfectly serviceable, and this is fine later in the game as well. Golems are actually a very strong deck still. They've changed a reasonable amount. They've gotten a lot stronger with access to cards that we will come on to, but yeah, they're very, very solid start there. Next, let's have a look at the entry 2 spell, which is a 3-cost spell, which is Replication. So here you select a token minion in a field, and a copy of that minion enters your field. Now, previously, what you would tend to get off of this would just be a small token golem. But with the modern version of golems that we are currently seeing, you actually will tend to get a token golem M, which is a 5/1 with charge, which is actually really quite good. And depending on when you use this spell, this can actually just secure you a game out of nowhere if you've played the 5-drop legendary or 6-drop legendary, the Wallace equivalent, whose name have unfortunately escaped me, but I'm sure we'll talk about her when the time comes. So that's also very strong. And finally we have entry 3, which is a 4-cost spell, which says all token minions receive 100 BP and 1 DP, then banish this card. This is obviously very, very strong. It's just going to let you secure games. This is the traditional super aggro red deck, and it is bloody good. Being this aggressive is actually very difficult for a lot of decks to deal with, and especially if they don't immediately have a way to deal with your, let's find a name, Diana, probably Diana, with a Y, then they're just fucked. Like, you just go ooga booga unga bunga boom, and they're done. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, very, very strong base minion chain there, and of course rare rarities, so I will be exploring this in upcoming videos. Perhaps not for a little while because I have a lot of these that I want to get through in terms of the analysis side, but I will be showing off the new Golem deck, and it is really, really good and still reasonably budget. It is less budget than it was before, but the cards you're getting for your investment is once again just very, very good. And if you already invested into golems previously, then this, in terms of an upgrade, is not going to be too bad. Okay, let's talk about the next base minion here, which is going to be Kenneth. So here we have the Kenneth chain. This is epic spell chain. So we have Accelerate here. Select one of your red and neutral minions, it receives 100 BP and charge. This can actually be really good. Giving something charge for 1 is not bad. Depending on when you use this, depending on what you use it on, this can just be the aggression you need to steal a game. For example, against white, this is so valuable because doing that extra little bit of damage each time is really, really, really strong. It's important to consider here that this deck is going really, really quick. So just giving yourself the extra aggro a turn earlier can make the difference between winning or losing. So very strong card. Next, the level 2 spell here is also 3 costs, and it's Firebolt, where you deal 200 DP to 2 of your opponent's minions and banish the card. So this gives you some removal. This is less good. It's still very strong, And actually, against a lot of decks, it's still really, really good. For example, against red, against Battle Spirit Red, or against the Mirror Match, this can just straight up remove 2 things. Against blue, this is really quite nice. You can remove Jelly Girls and other such annoyances, though obviously you will be allowing them to set up spells. Against white, this is very good because they have some very small things early on in the game as well, such as the polar bear and the little, you know, the grotty looking dude. You know the one I mean, he stops your forces taking damage as much. Yeah, this is a very useful card. Not as good, I think, but still powerful. And finally, then we have Blazing, which says destroy all your opponent's minions with the lowest BP than Magic Discard. I believe I rated this very highly as well when I first discussed it, but this is a very, very strong ability, and it's going to, if your opponent either has lots of big things that are like 2 DP and stuff, or if they have lots of small things, this is just going to be a very strong board wipe. It's just good. It's just very good. Traditionally, you'll be seeing this used with Curon as well, which means this is going to be a 3-cost spell, which is so strong. And Curon is risky to play in this current format. However, because the goal of Golems here is just to go really quickly, by the time your opponent uses the Phoenix Cannon to just delete it, I believe that's what it's called. Yes, Phoenix Cannon, to just delete it, you don't really care anymore. It's done its job. If anything, you're thankful for the card and the mana acceleration at that point. You don't really mind. Okay, so I will now rate both of these the same. These are very solid 4 out of 5 cards. I'll say that's pretty much the highest I can give to anything that is not either a complete staple in the colour or just a really good Wildlands card. I'm not giving 5 out of 5s for everything. So in my opinion, these are both 4 out of 5 cards. They're both really, really good. Next we have the Dan Bashin chain, which you can see there, which is the rarity. So first we get the Bladra. This looks at the top 3 cards of your deck, builds very base and adds to your hand, and it cannot move. So the value here is actually, usually you're actually going to whiff this ability. I'd say it's like a 50-50 shot of whether you get it off. If you get it off, it's really, really good. The value here is in combination with Ankylosaurus, which is this card, which we will talk about in a little bit, and it's also in combination with Sequoia Nova, as it will allow you, in combination with Ankylosaurus, to be very aggressive right from the off, and in combination with Sequoia Nova, it gives you a very cheap way to use that ability to deal 500 TP to everything and put yourself up to 5 if you are at less than 5. So yes, very, very good card. The level 2 gives us the 6-cost Apollo Dragon, which says when attacking, select one of your opponent's minions. It's in the active state that minion must block during this battle. This is a very useful skill for removing specifically annoying things. But also, when boosted, destroy one of your opponent's minions with 600 BP or less. This is another very valuable skill. 600 BP is definitely not small. This is removing the vast majority of things in the game, so it is, of course, a very valuable ability. Finally, we have the 9-cost Apollo Dragon when you play the level 3 down, which is on your turn. Whenever one of your minions attacks, select one of your opponent's minions. If you do, that minion enters the active state and must block during battle. This is, of course, very, very valuable because you can start sending all your tiny little things in. Your opponent's huge blockers block those, and then you can start sending this stuff in, your bigger things, to clean up the game. The second skill is when boosted. Whenever this minion wins a battle against another minion, destroy one of your opponent's minions with 800 PP or less. You tend to use that skill a little bit less, but it did still get used, and it is still really strong. And when you play this guy for like 5, he's just so good. And 11 3 for 5 is, of course, insane. The one issue that you will tend to find in these red decks is once these things get removed, you run out of gas real quick. So you've got to make sure that now I tend to run Red Battle Spirit as a Pegasus deck. I think it runs a lot better because you can use your base so much better to protect your things, bring them out, secure games in that sense. You're just a lot less susceptible to removal because you can really put a chokehold on how much your opponent can use in the kill turn by choosing when the kill turn is going to be and stashing things in your base to just bring them out and go for that game. So overall, the Dan Bashin chain also gets a 4 out of 5. These are all phenomenally powerful base minions that we've discussed so far. Finally, we have this Dan Bashin, the Clash King, which when placed, you will change a neutral mana. There's not a minion into a core, and then the next minion you summon going to the Battle Spirit or Dragon Clash receives 200 BP and charge. Really, you're playing it for that 200 BP and the charge effect. That's actually really quite useful, and it can let you steal a game if you play this near the end of the game. I do think this is the worst base minion in the deck, in the Battle Spirit deck that you run, and it won't really see play outside of the Battle Spirit deck. It's really hard to imagine it actually finding the space. So I would say this is a 3 out of 5 card, but it's still very strong. Here we have the Cannon Dragon Battle Gunner, which is boost, draw 1 card, and destroy 1 of your opponent's minions with 300 or lower. The second ability is just a bonus. The drawing the card here is really, really, really nice. And also giving +1 DP as part of the boost is also really, really good. This lets you secure games when you might otherwise be unable to due to the extra DP, and it also provides you with a lot more easy control for dealing with these small little minions that are otherwise just very, very annoying. Finally, for the best minions, we have the Gun Dragon Phoenix Cannon. This is a straight 4 out of 5. I'm just going to give it now. I'm not going to bother going over this. You know why this is amazing. This is a format-defining card that makes it really, really difficult to run some forces and makes a white really scared to do their thing, basically. Phenomenally strong card. The only thing that hampers it is the fact that the AI is fucking so stupid and will always attack into your Chirons. So it's not a huge deal when the AI is using it, but once we get one-day arena and these kind of things and we start doing more PvP, you know, the format-defining card, 4 out of 5 because you can't run it in every red deck. But if you could, well, you know. Okay, so that's all the base minions done. Now let's go back to some of the cheaper ones. This is actually going to go a lot faster because we've discussed probably about half the cards by now. Okay, here we've got Chameleopus. On your turn, this minion counts as 2 for the cost of it, for a cost reduction red effect, and it adds the rest of it with space. I feel like you only run this card because you have to. The cost reduction 2 is quite nice, but rarely has it made the big difference for me. In my experience, generally I've had the mana. Sometimes this has certainly been the thing that's pushed me over the edge and it's allowed me to play that minion on curve, and for that it is certainly very valuable. But also being a red mana means sometimes if you get a little bit mana screwed, or if you only open like a Phoenix Cannon when you want to save it, sometimes it just means you're forced to play it unoptimally in order to not massively fall behind because it takes a red mana. So I would say this is a 3 out of 5 card. Next we have Ankylosaurus. If you have another red minion belonging to Battle Spirit class on the field, this minion gains +1/+1. So this is obviously very, very good. If you go first and you open Epic Danbushian and this means that you have 1 free ping to your opponent's Phoenix, your next turn another ping to your opponent's Phoenix, and as long as you have anything else with DP, you can clear a Phoenix like that. Turn 2. Phenomenally strong. If your opponent does not have a minion on board or interact to deal with it, which happens about half the time you do this, it can just swing the game at that point. It's so difficult to keep up without Phoenix. In the early game, you can just overrun your opponent because they really won't be able to take advantage of any removal. So, phenomenally strong card. I would say this is a 4 out of 5 card. Okay, next we have a Goomar Miner of Magic, which has Chain Evoker. So, this is actually very strong. Chaining Evoker, you're in the Golem deck, and indeed also in the Dwarf-based deck, you will be running a shit ton of Evokers. You're basically only running Evokers in any build of red that is not Battle Spirit, so this is always going to give you that draw. The issue here is it doesn't really do a huge amount of other things, so I'd say this is a 3 out of 5 card. It's nice, it's giving you that early draw power, but you're probably not actually going to be running it. So if it had another ability like Unicorn, you would probably be running it, but it doesn't. So, you know, 3 out of 5, maybe closer to 2 out of 5. It's something you could run if you really didn't have other cards to run in a super budget version. It is a dwarf as well, so it does activate your Emily's, but that's it. Okay, next we have Aqua Lamp. When summoned, change one of your neutral mana that's done minion into a core, and when attacking, if you have a minion in your base that belongs to the Battle Spirit class, your opponent must block. Forcing a block with a 2 cost 2/1, and it only gives you a core. Cores are not that good. Cores are nice, and they are usable, and being able to boost pretty much anything with them is really, really good. But no, this is a 2 out of 5 card. It doesn't really have a place, especially when you're comparing it to this thing, which says when summoned, you can search your deck for a base minion belonging to the Brave class, wheel your opponent hands to your hand and shuffle the deck. And this is, for some reason, missing Chain Card Battler, which is on the card. I don't know why it's not on this version. That's very strange, but yes, it has Chain Card Battler. So this is a straight 4 out of 5. Phenomenally strong card, absolute staple in the Battle Spirit deck. We've got Starry Draw. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Reveal all field minions belong to the Card Battler, Zodiac Deity, or Dragon class to your opponent. Add them to your hand. Put the rest back on the bottom of your deck in any random order. Then change one of your neutral mana minion into a core. So this is a weird one. It's very dependent on your deck composition, how good this is. And it's really, really good with Kiron, but obviously you're very de-incentivized from playing Kiron in the current format. But, you know, turn 1 Starry Draw, you could hit 2 to 3 off this. It is feasible. How likely is it? In my experience, when I was playing around with this, I only usually hit 1 to 2, and I wasn't really getting as much tempo value out of it. And later in the game, when you really do want to be drawing your cards, you've got to remember, you've actually searched out a huge amount of your targets for this already. You're not going to be seeing them. So I would say this is a 3 out of 5 card. It's definitely not bad, but it's struggling at the moment to see play. Next, we've got a Goomar Mercenary. When summoned and when boosted, select one of your opponent's minions, lose 200 BP for the duration of this turn. Can be useful, but again, it's just not what you want to be playing in these hyper-aggressive decks, which is what golems and dwarfs really are. It doesn't really fit. It's just not powerful enough. So it's going to be a 2 out of 5 for me. Bomber Rat. When attacking, if you have a red mana belongs to the above class on your base, your opponent and their forces receive the following effect duration of your turn. The life force points cannot be restored, and the damage cannot be reduced. So this is a white counter and kind of a green counter. How important is it? I have personally not seen this see play, and I think white is really falling off in terms of amount of play because of how slow it is and how it's just really difficult to climb with it in ladder. It's just a lot of effort to put in for those games. So I would say this is a 3 out of 5 card that, if white became super prevalent, would see play. It's just one of those ones that at the moment is not super good, but in the future you can definitely see being used. Next we have Yashium. When summoned and switch Zodiac Deity, return 1 minion belonging to the Battle Spirit class from trash to your hand. This is very useful traditionally, but primarily you'll be salvaging a Bladra with this. That's the standard use, but you could also get some of your really big minions that you just need back because your opponent's dealt with them. And later in the game, that's so important, because if you run out of gas as red Battle Spirits, you're done. That's it. Like, if you make one misplay and it causes you to lose too much, it's over. So yeah, this is a card that helps you recover from your misplays, and even if you haven't misplayed, it's just going to let you gain back some advantage. So yeah, solid card. I'd say 3 out of 5. Dragon Hatchling. Destroy one of your neutral mana. There's not a minion card. If you do, a token dragon enters your field. Token dragon is a 5/2 dragon. This does see play, and again, if you're playing this for like 2 or something, it's really good. Even for 3, it's pretty good. A 3 cost 5/2 is not bad, but the issue is you are losing a neutral mana, and that is tough. That's not great. I would say this is, I do see this see play, and it is really annoying, especially when you're playing it super early. It only really works in Kiron decks because they're playing their cards for so cheap that they can afford to take that hit. So I would say this is a 3 out of 5 as well. Next we've got Leogolas. Chain Brave, and when summoned, destroy one of your opponent's minions with 400 BP or lower. So the Chain Brave is quite nice. You are playing a lot of Brave cards in Battle Spirits, but the 400 BP or lower it's not enough BP to really be super useful, and you're paying 4 for a 5/1. There are just better plays in Red Battle Spirits, and this is one of those better plays, which is this Sea Worm. When summoned, you can search your deck for a base minion belonging to the card battle class, reveal to your opponent and add to your hand, and when attacking, your opponent must block. Forcing a block is very useful in dealing with really annoying minions that you just want to get out of the way, or forcing your opponent's big blocker to deal with something relatively less threatening like this, and then swinging in with your big things to close out a game or to deal with force. This is a 4 out of 5 card, absolute staple in Red Battle Spirits. Okay, next we have Saga to Flame. Select one of your opponent's minions to lose 300 BP for the duration of the turn, then select one of your opponent's minions to lose 200 BP for the duration of the turn, minus 200 BP for the duration of the turn. This is the first 5 out of 5 card, I think, that we have discussed. This is a complete staple in every red deck. The versatility this gives you, the difference between 5 and 600 BP is usually not going to be too big. Most of the time, if you can remove it with 5, if you can remove it with 500 BP, you can remove it with 600 BP, obviously. I've explained that badly. Most of the time, if you were going to use Megaton Hammer on it anyway, you can probably use Saga to Flame on it. It's just really, really good. Absolute staple in every red deck. 5 out of 5 card. Here we've got Ruby Cephalosaurus. Charge when summoned. If you have a red mana belonging to the evoker class in your base, deal X BP to one of your opponent's base minions, where X is the number of red mana belonging to the evoker class in your base times 100. So this can be really, really useful removal. The issue is it's most useful against pretty big things, and you know, you got to be late into the game, you got to have a lot of evokers. just seems a little bit naff, honestly. So yeah, I'm going to say a 2 out of 5 here for this card. Next, we have got Meteor Worm. On your turn, if you have a core on your base, whenever one of your minions wins a battle against another minion, increase your movement by 1. If you do not have a core on your base, change one of your neutral mana that's not a minion to core. And when attacking your opponent, must block. This card just is not that good. It's not providing much value. The movement ability is kind of useless, and gaining a core is very much whatever. So this is going to be a 2 out of 5 card. Here we have Diana, the Concealed Reptile. When summoned, if you have 2 or more Evoker red mana, a token golem M enters your field, and on your turn, all your other red minions and neutral minions gain 200 BP and 1 DP. This is another 5 out of 5 card. This is a insane legendary. It's so strong. It's so strong. Just lets you clean out a game. So, like, yeah, I mean, come on guys. It is insane. In the final stretch now, here we've got Burning Veil, the Magmalife. When summoned, destroy one of your opponent's minions with 600 BP or lower. If you do, another one of this enters the field. So for 7, you are getting 2 7/1s and removing a 600 BP or less minion. This is very strong removal. It's just going to depend on how often there's going to be something worth removing. And I think a lot of the time there is. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I think it's really good. It gives you a lot of value, and it's not immediately nukable by your opponent, just giving you lots of big things, strong blockers, and removal. Very good card. Here we have our next 5 out of 5. I'll tell you straight up, this is a staple in like pretty much every red deck. It's so good. Destroying one of your other minions belonging to the Dragon class. If you do, restore your life points until you have 5 points, and all of your opponent's minions lose 500 BP for the duration of this turn instead. So the reason this is usable in every single red deck is because most red decks will be running the poo, whatever it's called, the little pig thing that deals 100 BP to something. Yeah, 100 BP to something, and that's a dragon. So what you can do is you can move that out of your base, you can play this, and you get the ability to basically wall wipe. Additionally, you get to remove something with 500 BP or lower. None of this is locked to Battle Spirits in any way, besides really the final ability, which is draw if you have a core, which you won't usually have. So yeah, 5 out of 5. I see this being a staple in at least one legendary deck, one red deck, until, you know, for like 6 months at least. A long time. Okay, next we have got Taurus. Construction red. On your turn, whenever you attack with a minion belonging to the Zodiac Deity class, which is usually just going to be this, your opponent must block, and whenever this minion is blocked, deal 1 damage to your opponent's life. This can be really annoying, and it can just steal a game. It's not that good. It's not really necessary. It's just something you can kind of throw in. It's like a, oh well, I like this card, so I'll run it. It's like a 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's not that good, but it's not bad. Next, we have got Apollo Dragon, the Shine Centaurus Deity, Sacrifice, whatever. Construction red, this minion can receive boost up to 2 times, and when attacking, for each boost this minion has received from a mana belonging to the Brave class, destroy one of your opponent's minions with 700 BP or lower. This is still really strong. It is strongest with Pegasus, because you can play this, if you've got the mana, and if you're playing this for, let's say, like 5 or 6, then it's very feasible for you to play this, double boost it with, you know, if you boost this with with Gunner and then a core or something random, smash this in, you're removing 3 things, 2 which are 700 BP or lower, 1 which is 300 BP or lower, and you're smashing face for 3. Obviously very good, super strong removal. It's not as run, and a lot of decks have cut it. I still think it's a good card, I just think it's a matter of space and feasibility. So I'm saying this is a 3 out of 5 because I don't want to give it a 2. I think a 2 implies it's actually bad. It's just a mediocre card. And finally, we have the Phantom Star Dragon Gaiasura. Construction red. When attacking, you can choose to deal 300 BP to one of your other minions. That is not the Phantom Star Dragon Gaiasura. If you do, this minion receives 300 BP and enters the active state. There's decks you can build around this guy that definitely work. They're not that good. They're like a low tier 2 kind of thing. I would say this is a 2 out of 5 legendary, but it's a fun legendary, and you can definitely do stuff with it. The issue is obviously if your opponent removes it, then you're done. However, there is a white booster which stops your opponent destroying or resting, which basically every single Battle Spirit deck runs nowadays, once people realise how important it is. So if you boost this with that, then they're not going to be super able to deal with it, and you can just close out the game like that. Because the only thing at that point they can do is banish it, or... So against white they can banish it, and against blue they can chuck it into base, and against yellow they can return it to hand. But red and purple are the meta, and they can't do anything to it basically, because dealing, you know, 1,000 is a bit tough. It'll actually be more, it'll be 1,300. It's pretty much impossible for them to deal that feasibly. So yeah, this is a deck that's very possible to build around and quite fun from what I've seen. So that is my review of Red. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop a like, leave a comment for any other content you would like to see. Please subscribe to the channel. I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of summer. If I do this, I have money I can spend on the game, so I can make more deck showcases and I can do big pack openings. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Cheers.